He had everything. Solid career, respect from his peers, discipline that most men only dream about. He woke up at 5 a.m., trained hard, built his financial empire brick by brick. But when she showed up, everything collapsed. It wasn't love. It was a trap disguised as passion. And the worst part, he knew it. He knew she was unstable, manipulative, that her words never matched her actions. But still he came back. Always came back. How does a strong man who controls everything in his life become an emotional slave to a woman who destroys him? The answer lies in your brain, in your history, and in a wound you might not even know exists. If you've ever caught yourself attracted to someone who makes you suffer, like this video right now, subscribe to the channel, and drop in the comments. What was the moment you realized you were trapped in a toxic relationship? Let's walk this path of liberation together. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist from Stanford, explains that our brain doesn't differentiate between love and addiction. When you're with someone who alternates between extreme affection and devastating coldness, your reward system goes into chaos. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation and pleasure, gets released in unpredictable spikes. And here's the trap. Your brain starts craving the high, not the person. It's the same mechanism that keeps gamblers at slot machines. They don't win often, but when they do, the rush is so intense that the brain keeps chasing it, ignoring all the losses. A toxic woman operates exactly like that slot machine. She gives you just enough to keep you hooked, then withdraws completely, leaving you desperate for the next hit of validation. Napoleon Hill says that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. But here's what he didn't emphasize enough. You have to be conscious enough to plant that seed, not bury yourself in the pain. Strong men fall for toxic women because they mistake intensity for depth. They confuse the adrenaline rush of chaos with the genuine connection they're actually starving for. You've been taught that struggle equals strength, that if you're not fighting for something, it's not worth having. So when a woman makes you work for every ounce of affection, your warrior instinct kicks in. You think you're proving your worth? But brother, you're not in a battle. You're in a cage and she's holding the key you keep begging for. Viktor Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps and discovered that man's primary drive isn't pleasure, but meaning. He found purpose in the most horrific suffering imaginable. But let me tell you something crucial. There's a difference between suffering that builds you and suffering that breaks you. Toxic relationships don't build character. They erode it. They take a man who once stood tall and reduce him to someone who checks his phone every 3 minutes, who overanalyzes every text, who loses sleep wondering if he's enough. That's not growth. That's destruction with a romantic soundtrack. Epicteto teaches us that we don't control external events, only our response to them. But here's where most men get it twisted. They think accepting a toxic woman's behavior is stoicism. It's not. Real stoicism is recognizing that her chaos is her burden to carry, not yours to fix. You're confusing patience with self-abandonment. There's a reason you're drawn to her instability. Somewhere in your past, probably in childhood, love came with conditions. Maybe your mother was emotionally unavailable, only showing affection when you performed well. Maybe your father's approval was scarce, so you learned that love is something you earn through suffering. Now, as an adult, when a woman treats you consistently well, your subconscious mind doesn't recognize it as love. It feels boring, unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. But when she's hot and cold, rejecting and pursuing, your nervous system lights up and says, "This feels like home." Brené Brown researches shame and vulnerability, and she found that people who struggle with toxic relationships often carry deep shame about their worthiness of love. You're not weak because you fell for her. You're wounded. And wounded men don't make rational choices in relationships. They make familiar ones. You keep choosing women who confirm your deepest fear, that you're not enough. And every time she withdraws, criticizes, or manipulates you, it reinforces that belief. Your brain says, "See, I was right. I'm not worthy of stable love." It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, a loop you can't break until you face the original wound. Nietzsche said that he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. But brother, your why cannot be her validation. It cannot be making a broken woman choose you. That's not purpose. That's prison. Strong men fall for toxic women because they outsource their sense of worth to female approval. You've built businesses, transformed your body, achieved goals that require iron discipline. But when she doesn't text back, all of that evaporates. Why? Because deep down, you still believe that a woman's desire is the ultimate proof of your value as a man. And toxic women can smell that desperation from miles away. They know you need them more than they need you, and that imbalance becomes the foundation of every manipulation that follows. Mark Leary studies the sociometer theory, which suggests that self-esteem functions as a gauge of social acceptance. When you're with a toxic woman, your self-esteem is constantly fluctuating based on her mood, her attention, her approval. You're giving her complete control over your internal gauge. On days she's sweet, you feel like a king. On days she's cold, you feel worthless. That's not love. That's emotional terrorism. And the worst part? You've become addicted to the roller coaster because at least you feel something. Stable, healthy love feels flat in comparison because your nervous system has been conditioned to equate intensity with intimacy. Schopenhauer believed that desire is suffering, and satisfaction is merely the temporary cessation of desire. In toxic relationships, satisfaction never comes. There's always another hoop to jump through, another test to pass, another way you're falling short. She keeps moving the goalposts and you keep running after them, thinking that if you just try harder, love better, sacrifice more, she'll finally see your worth. But here's the truth you need to hear. She already sees it. She sees that you're a good man, that you're loyal, that you do anything for her. And that's exactly why she feels safe treating you poorly. She knows you won't leave. Your consistency has become your curse because she has no fear of losing you. The Bible says in Proverbs that a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. Brother, your boundaries are your walls, and with her you've let every wall crumble. You've accepted disrespect you'd never tolerate from anyone else. You've forgiven betrayals that would end any other relationship. Why? Because you've confused unconditional love with unconditional tolerance. God calls us to love, yes, but He also calls us to wisdom, to discernment, to protecting the temple that is our mind and body. Staying with someone who destroys your peace isn't holy. It's self-harm with a spiritual excuse. Here's the practical path forward. First, you need to go no contact, not to punish her, not to make her miss you, but to create space for your nervous system to recalibrate. Your brain has been flooded with cortisol and adrenaline for so long that it doesn't remember what peace feels like. You need minimum 30 days of complete silence. No texts, no checking her social media, no mutual friends giving you updates. This isn't cruelty. This is survival. Second, you need to investigate your wound. Write down your first memory of feeling unworthy of love. Write down every pattern you notice in your past relationships. See the thread. See how you've been repeating the same story with different actresses. Third, build a life so fulfilling that her chaos becomes irrelevant. Pour yourself into your mission, your purpose, your relationship with God. When your identity is rooted in something unshakable, her approval becomes just noise in the background. Strong men don't fall for toxic women because they're weak. They fall because they're wounded warriors who never learned the difference between fighting for something valuable and fighting for someone who doesn't want to be won. You deserve a woman who sees your light without you having to dim yourself to make her comfortable. You deserve consistency, not chaos. Peace, not drama. Partnership, not power games. But first, you need to believe you deserve it. And that belief doesn't come from her choosing you. It comes from you choosing yourself, finally. After all these years of abandoning your own needs for hers, drop a comment right now. What's the one thing you wish you'd known before entering that toxic relationship? Share this video with a brother who needs to hear it. Your story might be the key that unlocks someone else's freedom.